questions remain about his short NFL tenure. So, Skip, I want to start with you. What is your final thought on Tebow's career?
Before I get to my final thought, Mr. Sharp, I want to get this out on the table. I readily acknowledge that many people do not like Tim Tebow. In fact, many people despise Tim Tebow, and I think you're among those people.
Despise Tim Tebow.
I think you do.
No.
And it starts from, he was always the poster boy for the religious right, and he wears his religion on his sleeve to a fault. And he forces religion down your throat, and he carries himself as if he's special because God is on his side. And we get all the way to he was one white running quarterback who got opportunities that many black running quarterbacks were not given.
Okay.
Fair enough, just to get all that out there. I appreciate all that. I know all of it. I get all of it. I also want to make it very clear, I'm not a friend of Tim Tebow's. I barely know Tim Tebow. I've interviewed Tim Tebow 3 times.
Okay.
I do not keep in touch with Tim Tebow. When he became a Jacksonville Jaguar, ill-fatedly, I had no communication. I've not texted with him. I have no idea what's been going on inside his life and head while he's been a Jaguar. Now to my conclusion, as Jenny asked. My final takeaway from Tim Tebow's career is that he became one of the saddest stories, maybe the saddest story I have ever encountered on the field. And by that, I mean, I'm not talking about personal tragedy here. Obviously, we're not talking about a terminal illness or a loss of a loved one. I'm talking about, as an athlete, his story is as sad as it gets because, as you well know, he was one of the greatest college football players ever. He won 2 national championships at Florida. He won a Heisman Trophy. He was a first-round NFL pick, albeit late in the first round at number 25 by Josh McDaniels. And then he got the worst break of his football career when the guy who picked him got fired in the middle of his rookie year. Before he'd even been able to start an NFL game, Josh McDaniels was gone.
Right.
As you know, that's a bad situation because you have a new regime, John Elway and John Fox, who did not pick you and did not want you to be their quarterback. But he did get some chances for a 3-11 Denver team at the end of his rookie year, got thrown into that fire. And he showed flashes of, I'm not going to say greatness, but goodness, because he threw for 308 yards against the Texans and ran for a late touchdown to pull out a 24-23 game at home and showed you just the kind of play that Tim Tebow showed you at Florida. And I said before his draft, I would take him late in the first round because if you'll let him run that Florida offense, he'll never make a Pro Bowl, but he can win games in the NFL. So when your Denver Broncos fell to 1-4 the next year, he got thrown into that dumpster fire to get it over with at Miami. And as I detailed for you yesterday, he simply went on the greatest run of clutch quarterback play I have ever seen. And I'm not talking about 2 or 3 games. I'm talking about an 11-game run in which he turned around a 1-4 team and led it to the AFC West Championship, the division championship. And they beat Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers in a home playoff game. And it was clutch play after clutch play, many with his legs, some with his arm, many of them late. He led the NFL in the last 5 minutes of games in QBR, and that's an extraordinary stat. And the Denver Broncos went from hopeless to leading the NFL in rushing because he's very good at right and decide ball handling in the read option with Willis McGahee. So we go from that to the fairy tale ends up in New England against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They get blown out. There's no real shame in that. I don't think they were nearly as good as those Patriots. And from that moment on, Tim Tebow was never given the opportunity to start another NFL game. And that is mind-blowing to me. He obviously got some looks. He got a look with the Jets. He thought he was going to get a chance. He did tell me that Rex Ryan told him he would get a 50-50 opportunity to win the job from Mark Sanchez. But was he ever allowed to start a game for the Jets at quarterback? He was not. He got a look from Belichick. He got a look from Chip Kelly, but they were just looks. And before you knew it, he was out of football. So the next time I saw him was in August, just before we started this show here in Los Angeles, when he had a baseball showcase at USC. to get signed by a Major League Baseball team to start at the bottom of the minor league system, somewhere like in the Arizona Fall League, to try to make his way into professional baseball. And he told me at that point that he was devastated about what happened to him in pro football. Well, it would be devastating because that was your dream. That's all you ever worked for your whole life, was to play pro football.
He did.
You did that, and you accomplished that.
Yeah.
You pulled that off.
Yes.
And then you never got another opportunity. It's unheard of. It will never happen again this way, where this man did that and then suddenly decided, I'm going to have to replace my gridiron glory with trying to make it in minor league baseball? Are you kidding me? And he fought up for 4 years. He fought up that minor league ladder.
Yeah.
Single A, double A. He was a double A All-Star, triple A. 4 years until finally his college coach, Urban Meyer, out of nowhere, gets the job in his hometown of Jacksonville.
And gave him what that you said he didn't get before? An opportunity.
To start at quarterback?
No.
And so, silly me, I said immediately, surely they have a plan in place whereby Tim Tebow will get to do what he did best for Urban at Florida when he was a freshman, and that is to run gadget quarterback plays out of the Wildcat, out as an H-back, to make first downs or score goal line situation touchdowns. And I thought that's what they'll use him as, ultimately using his quarterback skills. And they kept trying to sell him as a tight end, and I did agree with you. There is no way that you're going to leave football for 8.5 years and come back as a tight end, which would require you to play special teams, which would require you to block and tackle, which you've never done before, and it would require you to catch passes. He had never caught a single pass in a college or pro football game.
Right.
Not one. Sometimes quarterbacks
Well, that's arrogance on his part.
Okay.
That believed that even though he had never done any of those things, he was going to come back and do it at the highest level.
Okay, well, I consider that Urban's fault, but Urban played along with it or let it happen. And obviously, Tebow's never going to be a tight end. And I kept saying, surely he's going to change 85 into 15. But Gardner Minshew's wearing number 15. And Tebow was literally 7th on the depth chart as a tight end.
Yes.
So out of the blue, the first cut comes, 90 down to 85, and Urban cuts him. He is the 7th tight end. And Urban said, enough is enough. This is the right thing to do. And said, well, he can't play special teams. Well, he played 16 plays the other night in the one and only preseason game he played in, and he played no snaps on special teams. And I thought it was humiliating for a player of Tim's stature, what he accomplished in college and for that 1 year in Denver in pro football, to have to go through the shame of being cut like that in the 90 to 85.
Well, he brought that on himself. Because here's the thing, Skip, let me ask you a question. How long is the average NFL career, regardless of the player, regardless of the name? 3 years. Tim Tebow got 3 years. He had an average NFL career. You said his dream was to play quarterback in NFL. He did that.
Did he pull it off?
Skip,
was he great at it? Was he really good at it?
No.
Yes! He did that.
Skip.
You saw it with your own eyes, and you wouldn't allow it to go in your head. You're like all the rest of them. All the Hall of Famers said, he can't throw.
He was not good at quarterback.
I kept saying,
he was not good,
all intangibles. It's all his will to win. I've never seen, as Urban Meyer said to Chris Collinsworth, he is maniacal. He's a competitive psycho. That's what he is. He's a competitive maniac. He played it at the highest level. He took your team to the division championship because he made play after play after play after play. I showed you a bunch of them yesterday. You said, boy, that was a good throw.
So Tim Tebow is the only guy that's had a 3-year career, which is average, that everybody makes a hullabaloo.
To me, he had a 1-year career.
No, well, Skip, he got drafted.
He had a 10-game career.
Okay.
Well,
Skip,
that was it.
But here's the thing. He got an opportunity from the Jets. He got an opportunity from the Pats. He got an opportunity from the Jags.
Define opportunities.
Skip.
Are those opportunities to play quarterback?
The Broncos did something that no other team would allow him to do. Practice terrible,
He was a
and
terrible
then still put him
player.
in the game.
Did it work? Did it work?
Nobody else is going to do that.
Did he do that? Did he pull those games out of the fire?
So he's the only. So Skip.
Did he do it?
Skip. Yes.
You can't refute it because the proof is in the pudding.
Skip,
he did it.
Skip, there have been other guys that have started and then been out of the league in 3 years. This is not unique to Tim Tebow. If his last name was Kicklighter, you or all the others wouldn't give a damn.
Wait a second. Colt McCoy's still in this league.
Okay.
Chase Daniel's still in this league. Josh Johnson is still in this league after these many years. And Tebow got one little chance in Denver and seized the chance like nobody's ever seen.
Because
I've never seen anything like it before.
Because you and others can't get past. How can a guy be so great at college, be so average in the NFL? And that's what he was, average.
What was my award-winning video, thanks to